From the vault, high atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hey guys, I'm Pete Sanchez. Thanks once again for listening to Talking Catholic. Thanks for making us a part of your, whatever you're doing, a part of your lives. I'm here with Mike Walsh. How are you, Mike?
I'm well. We have another special guest, though, with us.
We do. Who is that, Mike? Who's next to you?
The bane of my existence for the last 18 months. However, also last week's guest. So we brought her back very quickly. Hey, Donna, what's going on?
Hey, Mike, how are you doing? I am not the bane of your existence for 18. It's like 13.
Oh,
You're
that's
extending
right.
it.
The whole convocation was the bane for 18 for me. No, it's Donna Ottaviano, the Director of Missionary Discipleship and the head of the steering committee for the Convocation of Catholic Leaders, the Joy of the Gospel in South Jersey. It's been good. And for those of you who are listening right now, you've probably noticed your podcast feed has been jammed up with plenary after plenary after plenary from the Convocation. I'm curious if any of you are actually enjoying it. I know you're listening to it because I get to see the numbers in the feed, but I'm wondering if any of you are enjoying it. So feel free to comment underneath the plenaries and let us know whether you like it. Particularly the MCs. Donna always likes to know if people like what she has to say during the Convocation.
I never asked for that feedback, Mike. Thanks.
And for those of you who went to the Convocation and our listeners, the survey went out for the Convocation today. So if you got it in your email box, make sure you fill it out and send it back to us and let us know what we screwed up. So that'll be good. I mean, what you liked, too, but mostly what we
So we're really hoping that those who attended the Convocation will fill out the survey because it helps us. It helps us for future events that the diocese does. We would like to know the things that you liked about it, the things that meant something to you, and also if you think there are gaps in things that we did.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last week, but there were a lot of things, a lot of time and effort went into it, but we also know there was no way to possibly capture everything that attendees might have been interested in. So we had to do our best to fill the schedule with things we thought were really important that they be aware of that possibly they hadn't either been exposed to before or hadn't been exposed to recently or hadn't heard sort of best practices about how to adapt it into their own parish life. So that was really the hope of the Convocation. But by all means, let us know what you liked and what we missed. And remember, as always, it was Donna's fault if you didn't like it.
So can I just add one thing to that? So I'm going to ignore your recent comment. So if Camden Diocese is expected to go forth and live as missionary disciples, then that was part of offering the 5, stage presentations by our plenary speakers, as well as the 46 or 47 workshops that we offered, is to give people ideas around how they live personally, individually, their baptismal call to discipleship, but also to give them ideas around how you go out and you form other disciples for Jesus. And there are so many people in the world that have not had an encounter that need to be accompanied wherever they are in their lives, and that's our call. So it's really about making sure that we understand those things and how we do them.
Okay, just to point out, you've gotten 5 episodes of the podcast and your own episode of the podcast. And we did another episode of the podcast with you like a month earlier. I'm good with the Convocation right now.
Right, so you're the one that keeps inviting me, Mike, so you have to live with it. This is my office.
You know what? This is the hell I put myself into. It's all right.
I think Mike realizes that he needs more joy, Donna, and you bring joy.
Mike needs more joy for sure.
Yes, I think that's right. Kind of he might not know he's asking for joy when he keeps inviting you on, but I think there's a little...
Oh, you think this is a subconscious plea for me to have more Donna in my life?
I think joy, Mike. Joy equals Donna. Donna equals joy.
Okay, somebody's got to put that on a T-shirt. So what is coming up in the upcoming weeks and months?
Well, okay,
Peter?
This is coming up Tuesday, April 23rd. Let's go around the diocese here. Discovery Ministries is holding their... Discovery Ministries Incorporated is presenting a talk on the history of the opioid crisis and the impact of Ground Zero. For families dealing with this, it's called Wheeling and Dealing. This will be held with Supervisory Special Agent Vito D. Rosselli from the FBI, who works in the Philadelphia Division. And this is going to be at Tuesday, April 23rd at the Woodcrest Country Club in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. On 300 East Evesham Road, there'll be a 5:30 p.m. reception. The program starts at 6:30, and there will be time for Q&A after that. Further info, contact Monsignor Michael Mannion at mtmannion, MTMANNION, at Comcast.net. And we've talked about this before. I will be here. I'm very excited for this. This walk here in Ventnor, Saturday, April 27th from 9 to 1:30. Registration is 8 to 8:45 a.m. This is the Following the Way of St. James on the Road of Life. It's really a day of spiritual exercise and walking to celebrate and support the health and well-being of all our parents and grandparents. And this is inspired by, we talked about this, the El Camino de Santiago,
Right.
the Way of St. James. And this is sponsored by the Vitality Catholic Healthcare Services. Again, this is going to be Saturday, April 27th, 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And registration is 8 to 8:45 a.m. at St. James Church in Ventnor, New Jersey. And then after that, there'll be the walk to the walk on the boardwalk to the Blessed Sacrament Church, Trinity Chapel in Margate, and then adoration, and then a walk back to Ventnor, and then Mass, and then lunch. So that'll be a wonderful day. Come on out, say hello to me, and I hope, Mike, I hope you're there too.
Thanks. That's nice of you to say. I don't know. It just it was just weird the way it struck my funny bone the way you said that.
Okay, no, I really do. I think it'd be great to see you. And Donna, I hope you're there too.
I actually have it on my calendar so that we would come over to that.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing you there.
That's a nice thing about being
Because I'd rather see you, Pete, than Mike.
Likewise. And then so.
You know what? I, unlike most people, I find insults a loving embrace. So anytime you take a shot at me, I know it just means you love me.
Easy.
We're having Donna back on every week now, Mike.
Thankfully, she lives down in Ocean City and is barely ever in the office. So we'll see when she rolls up again.
Well, we did talk about a shore series, Mike.
I know though that she can definitely come to.
So that's April 27th. April 28th, another event I'll be at. And you should all come, the Afternoon of Jazz Plus. I hope there's some Miles Davis and Dave Brubeck on this calendar, two of my favorite artists. This is going to be Sunday, April 28th at Aletto Caters, 1849 Cooper Street, Almanesson, New Jersey. And it's 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. This is sponsored by the Diocese of Camden's Black Catholic Ministries and Cultural Diversity.
And I just want to point out that has been traditionally held at another location. This is actually the first year it's being held there. So if you have it in your head is that you're going to be going back to Glassboro and Masso's, now it is going to be in Deptford at Aletto's, which is a lovely location. It's a great place for this event.
I think, I've been there before. It is wonderful. And even better, the day, if you come in, your $50 ticket all goes to benefit the Black Catholic Ministry Scholarship Fund to help students in their education. So there'll be fun, fellowship, there'll be dinner, and dancing to the renowned sounds of To the Max. I got to get my dancing shoes ready.
Okay.
I'm excited. Do the Macarena.
Enjoy. I will make sure that there is a video camera there.
I don't know. I don't think you could do the jazz to Macarena or do the Macarena.
I kind of hope not, but then
No,
again, I'm all about fusion sound, so we'll see.
The what?
Fusion. I like fusing disparate things together. So the Macarena and jazz. Let's see.
I thought you said Puget sound.
No.
That's on the West Coast.
No, I'm starting to think you need the headphones, Pete, instead of me.
Fusion sound. So this is, you might be right. I might need headphones. Sunday, April 28th, Aletto Caters. For more information, contact Joe and DeGennaro at 856-583-2904 or the chairperson, Lisa Scott Coley, 856-313-7443. And then also that same day, April is Autism Awareness Month, so the Diocese of Camden is inviting all to actively participate in the celebration of the Eucharist. To come on out for the Eucharistic celebration at St. Teresa of Calcutta Parish at Holy Savior Church, 50 Emerald Avenue in Haddon Township for this to celebrate. It's a great event. It's an important event too. I think so. I always knew autism was a difficult thing, and it affects a lot of families. It has recently sort of entered into my family. Not recently, but it's become diagnosed in my family. And there really is a lot to be gained from events like this, particularly for families, because depending on
Well, for any family dealing with autism, but oftentimes it can be magnified depending on the severity of the autism, and an event like this can really bring a lot of comfort to families. And the only thing that brings more comfort than maybe not, or adds to the comfort that Christ brings at an event like this, is the fact that you're doing it in community together. For people who are struggling with any issue in their lives, but doing it as a community always offers even a greater amount of support. So I do hope that if autism is something that's affected you in one way or another, that you'll come out to that and show support to other people who are managing their lives with autism. So it's
said.
Good. Thank you.
And the mass will be adapted to meet the needs of the folks who will be joining us for the celebration. So all are welcome.
Yeah.
There'll be a reception with light refreshments will follow in Holy Savior and McDade Hall, which are on the campus of St. Teresa of Calcutta Parish Holy Savior Church. They are fully accessible. To RSVP for this event on April 28th, starting at 10 a.m., or to volunteer for a ministry, contact Father Hugh Bradley, the co-director of ministry with the deaf and persons with disabilities. Email him at hugh.bradley@camdendiocese.org. And for more info on autism awareness, go to the National Catholic Partnership on Disabilities website, www.ncpd.org. And hope to see you at any or all of these events.
And, I just want to add one more thing to that event. You mentioned it briefly in there. Oftentimes for families with autistic family members, particularly those whose autism is a bit more severe and results in outbursts, it can be uncomfortable going to a mass. This is a mass where no one will be uncomfortable if you or someone that you're with is loud or active in the mass. So this is one where you should feel very comfortable, no matter what degree of autism you're working with, to be able to attend the mass. So I just wanted to kind of get that out there, because I know sometimes people can be semi-self-conscious about that. All right, so now that I've bared my soul with autism and other things, one of the things, this is a unique podcast today. We have a lot of female voices on it, so I'm going to do something we've never really done with a podcast before. I'm going to ask everybody to introduce themselves and say a particular phrase, so that later on in the podcast, when Pete or I or Donna forget to introduce somebody by name, you'll have a better idea of who it is speaking when they're answering a question. So we're going to go right to left, starting with...
my name is Sister Agnes, and this is my voice, what it sounds like.
Yes.
My name is Connie Boesch, and this is my voice.
My name is Sandy Martinez, and this is what I sound like.
My name is Emma Hilton, and this is my voice.
My name is Mariah Wilkins, and this is my voice.
Thank you for doing that very infantile but important thing that we have to do, and we have a lot of. And it wouldn't just, if it was a lot of male voices, I do the exact same thing. But when you have a gender-heavy podcast like we are right now, particularly with Donna with us as well, it can get difficult for listeners to figure out who's talking at any given time. So it sets them up at least to know who's talking. So, Peter. We've come to one of our favorite places, although this is the first time we've done the podcast in this building, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yes.
I think, but beautiful building.
So,
Father Benedict House.
Who are we with today? And why are we here?
Well, we're here with the Sister Agnes, the servant. Is that your title?
Local servant. Yeah, local servant.
Local servant here in Atlantic City for the Franciscan Sisters of the Renewal, and the St. Michael's Missionaries, which is a pretty... the pioneers, I guess we can say, the four pioneers, four young women, courageous young women who are here to... They've been spending time here since September doing... What have they been doing, Sister Agnes? How about you explain?
That's a good question. No, so the St. Michael Missionary Program, the women that have come here have made a commitment of living in community, living a commitment of prayer life together, and joining into our apostolates that we do as the sisters, Franciscan Sisters of the Renewal here, specifically with the Father Benedict House. They help us to run our ministry from here, but they help with other works with the poor that we do here in Atlantic City, as well as our works of evangelization. So it's been a real joy to have them, and I think a real blessing to the people here in Atlantic City, to us. We're really going to miss them. They end in May, and they're coming from all over, each one of them.
That's probably a good question that I should have added to your litany of where is it that you are from. So let's go back around again. Sorry, with Connie.
Yes, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska.
Again, this is Sandy, and I'm from Portland, Oregon.
I'm from England.
And this is Mariah, and I am from Sacramento, California.
Emma, what part of England are you from?
Liverpool.
Liverpool. Okay, there you go. So now I think that's really well. There's a lot of ways to start this conversation. Let's start it this way. Sister Agnes, what really was the genesis for this?
Yeah, so Bishop Sullivan had invited us to the diocese back over 2 years ago, and we arrived in the diocese July 31st, 2017. And when the bishop invited us, he showed us the convent where we live, which is the former St. Michael Rectory, and he'd also shown us the former St. Nicholas Convent. And we'd asked him if we could possibly use this building for an outreach to the poor, but also in vision of having a formation program for young women who are maybe discerning religious life or want to give a gap year of just trying to figure out what's next for them to serve alongside the sisters and to receive formation with us and live a life of prayer and community. So really that was the vision from the very beginning from Mother Lucille and Mother Claire. And then also, when we came here, the building needed a lot of work. And so it was a twinkle in our eye. And about January, I remember talking to Mother Claire and the other council, Mother Lucille actually at that time, and the other council members. And we were talking about, like, are we going to do this program? I asked Mother Claire and Mother Lucille, and they said, yeah, I was planning on it. And I said, well, we better get this building going. So everything was kind of put off until the summertime. And from the month of July to August, we had very generous help and benefactors and friends that helped to renovate the building, and then the missionaries moved in September, which is really a miracle. And it's just been a great experience for us, and I think then for them too.
So I guess my question for the missionaries is, what drew you here, and how did you hear about this as an opportunity?
This is Connie. So I first heard of the sisters just through a YouTube video, and I did 2 come-and-sees, and then I knew I wanted to do more mission work before I entered the convent, just to transition from a normal working world to religious life is a big change. And I looked at, I don't know, probably 10 different mission programs and did phone interviews with a bunch of people. And this was really the only program that hit all of my desires. And those desires were already there before I even heard of the program. And then this program came around and I was like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing. So here I am.
Yeah, for me, I was discerning religious life with the CFR community. So it really just made perfect sense that I would come and do the missionary program and really have an opportunity to, in a way, like shadow their life and see what it's like, and then try to see if the Lord was calling me to this kind of life. So, yeah.
I was discerning with the community and thought that this would be a good opportunity to grow in prayer and community life. It's discerning a bit along the various apostolates, if this was for me.
And then, yeah, similar. I mean, I think we all found out about this program through visiting the sisters in the first place. But yeah, for me, at the time when I made this decision, I was finishing up AmeriCorps as a full-time volunteer with the government at a social service agency in California. And so that was wrapping up, so I needed to find something new no matter what. So I was applying to jobs. But then I remembered hearing about the missionary program a few months prior, and I was like, oh, what is that? It's probably not very practical for me to do that, but what is it? And found more information, and a big desire for me was like, okay, I am stuck in my vocational discernment. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, and really felt like spending this 8 months would really allow me to figure it out, to spend more time in prayer, ask the questions about myself and about what God's plans are for me that I might have been afraid to ask, things like that. So that was a big motivator. And then I knew I already loved missionary work and service. Like that was an obvious thing for me, but the vocational question was my, I think, main motivator. Yeah.
And coming in, the four of you have really hit the ground running. I'm looking at the schedule here. I did a story with all of you. I kind of see this as part 2. So I would like to say we're going to continue, read my story, and then you'll understand this podcast, but I don't think that's possible. So, no, I mean, I'm happy to start. So with how's it, just the pillars of formation that Sister Agnes, the 3 of them, the prayer, community, and works of mercy, kind of the foundation of this. And then you can speak.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the 3 pillars we felt were most important are really the 3 pillars for religious life as well. So prayer being number 1 in our life, and then community life, so that prayer being our love relationship with the Lord, and then our community life, how we live out that love relationship with the Lord with one another, and then our apostolate, or our ministry, which works of the poor, and also evangelization. It's our way of then sharing that love that we experience in our relationship with Jesus and in community, that we can go out and love others. Because we all know it's so much easier to love others outside, but to learn that real love in the school of love in our families and in our homes and in community life is where we really grow.
And one of the things that happened today, actually, before we came, the Father Benedict house twice a week, Tuesday, Thursdays. And can you explain that program? And maybe some of you, the missionaries, can talk about their experiences doing that as well with the Father Benedict, which is amazing. I've been to it a few times. What is it, Sister Agnes?
So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we've been serving from 10 to 11:30, and it's an outreach for the very poor in Atlantic City. Mostly the homeless come, but it's also some of just the needy in the area, and it's built really a sense of family life, community life for the people that we serve. We serve coffee. It's very simple, act of love of serving coffee, donuts, bagels with the poor, and we have a chapel here. They can light candles, and it's really allowing them to experience feeling loved, that they feel their dignity, because we feel like many of these people, they're in their addictions and have a lot of brokenness in their lives. They don't even feel lovable to get the helps that they need. So we're simply trying to bring God's love to each person that we encounter here, so that maybe eventually they can take the steps that they need.
So I would like to ask a question. So in tagging along to what Sister Agnes had said, right, being in the school of love, would you be able to talk about kind of what was your most profound moment in the last 8 months of being here in the school of love? I know, eyebrows going up all over the place, because I actually am positive you had many experiences here, but would you be willing to share those with us, to let us know, because you've spent 8 months and being in this mission program, and I think people would really love to know what it's like to live the lives that you're living in discernment, and it would be very helpful for us to hear it. No pressure to anyone, but I will pass the microphone.
Don't be afraid. This is what she does to everybody.
Okay, great. I would say, so I tend to be a very perfectionist type of person. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all out. Something I've realized this year has just been the power of obedience, and the power of truly giving your will to the Lord. I remember coming to Sister Agnes with a litany of all these things I wanted to give up for Lent, and she was like, no, maybe. And I was like, oh, come on, I just want to do all these things for the Lord. And something I quickly realized was that the Lord didn't want me to do all of these crazy ideas that I had in my head of what would be a good sacrifice. He wanted me to love, like she said, my community. He wanted me to truly pour myself out to the people that are around me, because that is the sacrifice that he's looking for. So I've truly seen that, just like I love these girls so much, and I know we're all gonna miss each other. So I know in my heart, like, I can feel that that I've truly like loved them. So I'm sure we'll keep in contact after this year. And yeah, it's been such a privilege to just like learn from them. Like, we're all so different. We all have such different talents and experiences. We've all really been able to like grow from each other and learn from one another. It's been really beautiful.
Thank you for that.
For me, it was the opportunity to be personally present with each member that came in to the Father Benedict house, and also living in community. Like, God's called each of us from literally different corners of the earth to be together as a community, and we might have all different likes and dislikes, be at different stages in our faith journey and discerning with God, but it's the chance to grow and be personally present with each individual and know that they're cherished and loved as a child of God, as individuals, in spite of differences, that they are who they are because they're a child of God.
Thank you, Emma. Mariah? No pressure.
Oh man, I was trying to think of a moment, and I can't really think of a moment at the moment, but just a thought, kind of a different approach. We have a quote that Sister Agnes has taught us: to communicate is to love, that we often say. So yeah, one thought I have of just like knowing that we are all on board this year to love one another and to communicate. And so, of course, as humans, we've had conflict at different points, but I think one thing that's been so beautiful about this particular community is that everyone really has that same goal and everyone wants to reconcile. If there is conflict, we don't want it to stay there. We don't want it to build any bitterness. But I feel like that's unique, you know, that everyone has that same goal. And if somebody needs to bring something up to the other person, like that person does that best they can to receive that, to grow from it, vice versa. So that's one thought that comes to mind in that school of love.
Thank you for the share. I appreciate that. It would be nice if we could all, I mean, it's so beautiful for all of you to sort of call that out. It would be nice if all people could actually do that in their own families. The world would be a better place. So really, for you all to share that, come together and love each other, and in that school of love, but also sharing what you do for the community that's here, right? Because you bestow a lot of love on the people here in Atlantic City. So we really appreciate everything you've done all of these months.
Speaking of that, I mean, what things have you done in Atlantic City that have really sort of resonated with you, whether it's at Benedict House or elsewhere in the diocese or elsewhere in the city?
One thing for me was the first time that we did street evangelization. So we just take sandwiches out, some waters out, maybe some prayer cards, and just meet people on the street where they are in their environment. And so just the idea of going out to the people and inviting them into the Father Benedict house, like just that concept, I was like, that is so beautiful, so simple. You know, anyone could do it, but that was one thing that was really attractive to me.
Yeah, a lot of things. I would say one of the things, even today we were talking about it after Father Benedict house, just how the sisters tend not to shove religion down people's throats, and I really appreciate that because I feel like a lot of people are expecting that, and we've been here now 8 months. You just see like they are the ones that start bringing up the conversation about God, and there's this freedom in them that when they're the ones that are ready to talk about it, then you can start, you know, having this like real and raw conversation. Sister Joseph, I think, was talking about how there was someone at the hospital and and they were filling out their paperwork, and under like religion they put the sisters, which was so like, yeah, it's just like they see something and they're attracted by the love that the sisters show, and it's been so powerful to see that and to be a part of it too, you know.
You know, it's interesting that you phrased it the way you did, that the sisters don't shove religion down your throat. I might counter that by saying that they don't do that, or they do in fact do it in a way, but it's so under the radar you don't realize it's happening, which is kind of what you alluded to. But it's true. I mean, particularly the sisters here, and you know, we're not, and I don't mean to not refer to or to cast aspersions on any other community, and I don't. But I think the CFRs in particular have done a great job of evangelizing through modeling. That you model a certain way of being, and the way they, their faith is so, it's like excuse the terrible connection here, but it's almost like a halo around them that not necessarily around their head, but their whole body, that you get that sense of it. And I think it's, and hey, listen, we had the sisters on, and we talked about their, discernment process and how they came to their vocation, and they were very open and honest that, that they were not saintly back in the day, that this is something they've sort of strived for, and it's beautiful, and it's a constant reminder for someone like me who, as Donna knows, is so terribly flawed, that there is the possibility that I can at one point, if I keep working at it and I keep surrounding myself with good people like Donna and Pete, that this is an opportunity that exists for all of us, which is, I think, why people like Donna in particular, but so many people have gravitated to what the sisters are doing here down in Atlantic City, particularly with, like we mentioned, the first Saturdays that go on. And Connie, you brought up the street evangelization, which, as a lifelong Catholic, blew my mind, because we're used to seeing other faiths do that. We're not used to seeing Catholics do that, and that so many of them, just so many of the people who had come to those things, just lay people, really jumped at the opportunity. It was incredible.
Can I ask a question about that? Because I think, so had any of you done that type of outreach before, right? The street evangelization, and the whole idea of like just giving someone an encounter with you, and you're feeding them and you're talking to them, and the whole idea of, this phrase that we're not shoving religion down anybody's throat, but you're loving them, right? Had you done that work before? And if you hadn't, what was it like to then go forward and do it? Because everybody needs to think about doing it, not because they're in a missionary program to discern or because they've chosen their vocation. Like, all of us need to be in a position to do that. So I'm curious if you can talk about what it was like to either do that the first time and how comfortable you are with it now.
Sure, yeah. I had done it, not frequently, and I was definitely not comfortable with it. Can't say I'm 100% comfortable with it now, but I had done it with Christ in the City, actually, and that's in Colorado. So I did that just for like a month's time, and then the job I worked at had a bunch of leftover food every day, and so every once in a while I would take a cooler dish downtown and do it, but it didn't, just wearing lay clothes, it doesn't provide as much opportunity. The people don't feel as safe with you to share, and so I was just some random person giving out food in Omaha, whereas here when I'm with the sisters and they're in their habit and I'm in the skirt, it just really shows. It has opened my eyes to see the power of wearing the habit and how people feel safe instantly. They can just go deep to the heart. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Connie.
I had experienced doing this type of work before. My mom was actually a very huge fan of doing this. So I remember once a month we would go to the store and just buy a bunch of bread and ham and cheese and make sandwiches and then go and give them out to people. So I think I was a little bit comfortable with it. But it was so beautiful to just be able to experience that. My mom has been in Mexico for about 8 years now, so it hadn't been a while since I had gone with her. So it was good to go back at it. But yeah, Connie's right. There's just a power to the people seeing the habit, and it's just this freedom to be able to talk about the faith. And also sometimes they just pour their life out to the sisters or to us because they see a huge crucifix and a skirt on us. So yeah, it's been beautiful to see that.
I'd had some experience prior, both in my hometown, Liverpool, and then also when I worked out in Kenya on the streets. And just that powerful experience of being able to encounter each person and to let them know that they're loved by God was very powerful for me, but then acted as a catalyst to coming here and being able to treat each person and each different experience as new and with respect.
Thank you, Emma. It was interesting. So Sister Agnes gave me a tour of this Benedict house because I'd not been here before, so walking me through all the floors and all the things that are available including where you all stay, not in your rooms. But even the fact that there's a place up there for the people that do come here, you know, because Sister said they don't even know their own dignity. So there's a place upstairs and there's clothes upstairs. There's a place for them to have a shower and get cleaned up. And I thought, how beautiful is that? Is to help somebody realize their dignity. You know, so really there's some really powerful work that occurs here. So, but I don't want to miss a chance, Mariah, for you to answer the question I had asked earlier. What was it like for you?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I have some experiences similar. In particular, when I was going to college, I went to Franciscan University, and a few different things I ended up doing, like mission trips, or when I became an RA, there was really good training, and we went out. There were times it wasn't really food involved, but we would just ask people if we could pray with them. Like, we walked through a mall, the Dollar Tree. The Dollar Tree is where I prayed with a lot of people, actually, which is really cool. So yeah, I've done that. Thankfully, I've been blessed. Like, I'm really like talking to strangers. I really enjoy it. So yeah, so I wasn't uncomfortable with it, but I do really enjoy it. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think I just want to get to know the four of you and your backgrounds. So can you share a bit about your family life, your faith back home, your community, and also what was your reaction to your family and friends when you told them you were going to spend a year in Atlantic City?
I'll start. So I was raised Catholic, but it wasn't a huge part of our life. And let's see. So yeah, as I mentioned, right before becoming a missionary, I was working in the secular world in the social work industry. So I'm forgetting the other questions you asked, but what the family's reaction?
Yeah, your family's reaction to you know, when they realized you'd be coming to Atlantic City.
Yes. I was a pretty last minute one with this program. Like, I only decided a month before, so it all happened really fast, like my application and then actually saying yes to doing it. So I know with my parents, it was kind of like out of nowhere when I told them that I was like gonna maybe move. Like, they weren't surprised by what it was because I've been discerning a religious life. I've done missionary work before. So like what it was didn't surprise them, but just like the timing of it. I know my dad had some safety questions, like just where is this going to be?
You're going west to East Coast, so.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I don't remember what I had said that made him question it, but luckily the sisters have had plans that, you know, we have an alarm and things like that. But my dad had wondered about that. And my mom had practical questions of like, okay, so you're going to be 27 by the time you're done with this. Like, what are you going to do then? And yeah, so they had some practical questions, which were valid. But for the most part, besides that, like once I continued in the application process, they adjusted and got used to the idea, basically. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I come from an only child family, and I grew up in a very Catholic family, but my family were really, really supportive of me coming here. I was first, in the opposite to Mariah, on the programme, so I had a bit longer than everyone else to get used to the idea of coming. But yeah, my family were really supportive of me coming, and just wanted me to enjoy the experience. So.
And they didn't have any problems with you coming to the U.S.? There were no issues related? I mean, Atlantic City in particular, you know? America's gangland out there in terms of, I mean, Atlantic City was known for its mob ties for years and the gambling.
I'll just reiterate what was previously said about the sisters being in the habit. I think they were like, well, it's not if you're just going off on your own. They were very much of the view that because I was with the sisters in the habit, that any safety concerns weren't going to be as an issue.
Wow, Sister really is magical in that regard. I told you. That's what it's a halo around. It barely extends to all of them.
Hell,
it's
Mike,
like a force
I need
field.
sunglasses. Do you have sunglasses, Mike?
Dude, I was actually going to make fun of you. You walked in wearing your sunglasses. You had them on for like 3 minutes. I couldn't. It was like you had these cute little Ray-Bans on, and you're like all excited about yourself. I don't know.
You just call my sunglasses cute.
Your sunglasses were cute. The rest of you, I have no comment over, but the sunglasses were nice. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I come from, my family was Catholic, but basically just because we're Mexican, you know, it was more of a cultural thing than us actually being Catholic at all. My mom is a single parent to my older brother and I. And we struggled economically growing up, which is part of the reason why I feel like I'm very passionate about helping the poor, just because I lived in shelters and just saw the generosity of people and wanted to give that back to others. Just feeling the impact in my own life of that. What was the other question? Oh, so when I came to be a missionary, my mom was super excited, like beyond excited. We both had our conversion at a similar time when I was 12 around, which is when we really hit rock bottom economically. And ever since then, my mom's just been really devout and into her faith. So I think, like Emma was saying, or like Mariah was saying, she saw it coming, like me wanting to discern religious life and missionary work. I had done net ministries for a year. So yeah, she was super supportive and very excited to have me come. And it wasn't much of a change for her because, like I said, she's been living in Mexico. And I've been in Portland, Oregon. So I still call her, so it hasn't been much of a change for her. Yeah.
Yes, I also grew up Catholic, and we'd go to Mass on Sundays, pray before meals, pray before bed. That was kind of all it was for me. Let's see here. What else did you guys ask?
Your reaction, your family, your community.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have been talking about doing mission work since my reversion in 2011. And so I think everyone knew it was coming, just didn't know what that would look like. They were expecting something. And I also lived with a secular institute for 7 months about 2 years ago, which is similar to a religious order. But so there's been little steps along the way that have showed signs and prepared my family for me leaving. And so I'm curious. We've had a lot of conversations about the wonderfulness of this experience, and certainly the fantastic nature of Sister Agnes and the other sisters here, which I love showering Sister Agnes with praise because Donna's not used to it because I never shower anybody in praise. But I'm curious. There must have been difficulties as too in your time here. And I mean, we try to be a little authentic on the podcast. And what have been some of the struggles that you've been able to either overcome or that you are still working to overcome? You don't have to release any secrets out there, but I mean, if there's any that you'd be comfortable talking about, like either here or in your discernment in general. Okay, the first thing that came to mind was, so I was raised in a family that's very efficient, like much of America, I think. And so that's always been my mindset. It's like, okay, we're going to do this in this order. It's going to work really great, and we're going to be done. And then we can go on to the next thing. But it's like, what is the point in that? Where's the love in that? Like, where do you see God in all of that? So that was super hard for me here, just learning to slow down. It's okay if the dishes don't get done in 10 minutes. It's more about like enjoying the time and the conversation. And so, and just like in ordinary life, just picking a virtue and working on it. So I chose patience. And so, continuing to work on it, but it's definitely gotten better. At least I hope you guys agree. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
I think anything worth doing is going to have its challenges. So I feel like there's definitely been growing pains, but that's what they've been. Like, just all of us have been growing. I've seen growth in my life, and I've seen growth in the rest of the missionaries. But it's definitely been like a struggle. It's easy. I always say that it's easy to ignore your flaws when you're by yourself, but when you're in a community, they just tend to, rise to the surface. You can't really ignore them. I've definitely seen struggles, but they've been good. I think I've been able to see like my weaknesses. In particular, I tend to like take too much on, and then I get really overwhelmed. So I've been able to focus more on relying on the Lord and relying less on me, because if I rely on me, I've learned that that's not a good idea. I just will automatically fail. I think being pushed and like Pete said, our schedules tend to be like full, and there's a lot of prayer and a lot of apostolate and study and growing. I think this year has helped me to grow in just relying on the Lord. Like my strength is not enough, but His is. So
I think for me the biggest challenge this year has been the culture shock of coming to a different culture and a different and also working alongside sisters, which isn't what the world would choose necessarily. But also for me, getting used to the different prayer times was also initially a challenge. But just in day-to-day life, like I always struggled to be in the present be in the present moment. So I really think that this year has been a real helping thing in enabling our structured life. I think provides a platform to be able to be in the present moment of each thing that we're doing.
You know, that's always great to hear, because it's one of the things I have the hardest time with as well. I mean, you've probably seen me. I've been on my phone a ton because I've been doing this and 3 other things. And actually, when I left work today, I specifically wanted to make sure that I was focused on this podcast, because this is a special podcast for us, and we're very excited about that you agreed to be on here. And we always love having Sister Agnes on. And then we got a couple of visitors in the background. We always like to see a couple extra people in the group, and to us it's the sign that the community down here is very healthy. But you did say something I wanted to get back to, which was a little bit of culture shock. So what did you find culturally shocking?
You should have a camera right now, Mike. Take Emma's picture.
Really, where's Instagram Live, Mike? Put that back on.
Can I say the whole thing?
Yes, you can. We'd like to hear.
No, I meant like that was my answer.
No,
it's fine, Emma.
Well, if I can, maybe I was going to ask this question, but I guess I'll tie this one with Mike. For me, I don't know. I think about food, and I'm thinking, like, if I went from England to Atlantic City, from Liverpool, home of the Beatles, to, like Mike said, the gangster or whatever with Atlantic City. I shouldn't say that. Atlantic City's wonderful. I love this place. But, I mean, was there, like, did somebody say no tea? Did somebody say that? I thought I heard no tea, like, or...
well, one example of like the culture, for example, is a different terminology and the language used. Because remember a few weeks ago, Sister Agnes wanted to put something on the drawing board, and I said, "Oh, there's some drawing pins up in the office." She said, "You mean thumbtacks?" And I was like, "Oh, that must be the word for drawing pins." But just simple things like
the terminology,
the most basic things that you wouldn't think of normally are suddenly like a whole different world.
You've been 7 months here, right? Have you seen it? You're slowly.
It got easier.
Yeah,
it got easier.
What about you, Mariah?
Yeah, my challenges of the year.
Was it a big culture shock from Sacramento to here? No?
No,
I didn't think so. Okay.
No. The accents, but it's not a shock. It's just like different and kind of fun. Like today.
We don't have accents.
Some people do.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Someone's name was Karen, but she said like Karin or something. I don't know. Like with her accent, it sounded really different.
Well, Sacramento has a very unique accent. It's. Oh yeah. Do you ever see the movie Lady Bird?
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the elements they put in there, was the very unique accent of Sacramento.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, so I'm listening to you going, "Yep, sound
really?
Just like her." Yeah, seriously.
After this, you can imitate me, so I understand. But
I'm not great at imitation, but I will encourage you to watch the movie if you haven't yet. It's a good movie.
I've seen it. Okay, so my challenge, one in particular, has been a spiritual one. I've actually, I don't know what the source of it. I mean, I've been learning a lot about consolation and desolation and St. Ignatius and all that topic there, but different experiences of doubt in my faith, actually. I think it started in the beginning of the year, but yeah, so that was, super unexpected and obviously hard. It's like, I'm a missionary. and I'm like, what? I'm questioning things,
Yes, no, because
I'm shocking people.
No. Actually, you're not shocking me at all. We've done a lot of work with seminarians over the years, and we've worked with the director of vocations of the seminary, and we've come to learn, and I try to explain this to people all the time who might be afraid of the discernment process, that this is what the discernment process is about. This is in any vocation, whether it's a married vocation or a ordained vocation or a religious vocation, no matter what it is, that these moments of really delving deeply into what you are doing and what you might be doing into the future and all the doubts that come with it. For me, I mean, I know I joke about being the cold-hearted PR person, and it's all true. But, I mean, a lot of it, there are things that come up that challenge you. Sometimes they challenge your faith. Sometimes they challenge it more deeply. And learning how to process that, I mean, that being able to do that, to think wisely about it, and in your case, have a community that you can lean on in those moments is outstanding. I just have Pete, and every now and again it works, and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I have a wife too and child. They might be more helpful than Pete, but and then Donna just tells me to get it together and move on. But no, that was actually I'd like you to expand a little more on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know, just a couple different times this year, I'd be in prayer and then be like, "Who is Jesus?" I just was kind of somewhat of a crisis of faith at different points throughout this year. So, I mean, I was like, okay, I want to figure this out. And it's just interesting because I'd never had this question before. I just, going through my life as a Catholic, I just kind of soaked different things about his life, about who the scriptures say he is. And I've had a personal prayer life for many years. So I've been talking to Jesus for all these years too. But I'm not sure where it came from, but it's been good, there's been moments of kind of despair and shame at different points, but I'm thankfully I'm feeling a lot stronger now. And then learning about desolation, which I really wouldn't know how to explain it super well because I've never tried to explain it, but it's a way God permits kind of darkness and emptiness and things like that in our life of faith. So just kind of after the fact of being in it, I've learned more about it, and so I'm like, okay, this is normal. Other people go through this, so that's been really good. Yeah.
Now imagine if you had gone through that. Imagine that was a moment in time that happened outside of the fact that you're here.
Yeah.
But by God's will, that moment in your life happened while you were here.
Yes.
While you were surrounded by these people whom I'm going to go out on a limb and say might have supported you even if they weren't doing it consciously, or perhaps made it worse. I don't know, but it's true though. I mean, look at where you are when you had that crisis.
Yes, definitely been so good. Actually, when I did another come and see visit, discernment visit with this community CFRs in New York, and it came up again, and that theme of doubt and questioning, and do I even have faith? But thankfully, I was able to talk about it, and that was so good. I was super honest that week, even though I was having these struggles. I didn't keep it to myself because I knew if I did, I wasn't going to get anywhere. I was going to stay stuck in it.
So wait, just out of curiosity, Sister Agnes, is she ordinarily overly restrained? I don't get that impression from Mariah that she plays things tight to the vest. We've only been together a few minutes, and yet I've kind of decided that.
You're right. But I mean, that's what that Satan would want us to do, is to keep it quiet. So I'm thankful that in the midst of feeling down and ashamed or weak, that at least God gave me the strength to talk about that. So
I think I think that you were talking about that desolation. It sounds almost like a desert experience here in Atlantic City. Maybe in a different. You never heard that
dryness, desert dryness, spiritual desolation.
Thank you. Yeah. That's so. But I think God wants those questions. I mean, I think it's good to have. I think we grow when we're ourselves, and God allows us to be ourselves. And the desolation. I've had those moments before, and it's definitely helped me realize I have to follow on God. I think, Sandy, you were talking about, we shouldn't rely on ourselves. We should rely on God. So it's in those moments where God might take away stuff or make us feel alone, when really He's only taking away what we don't need, and we still clearly see Him. At least I believe that.
Yeah, the one thing I would comment on, so I have a particular Ignatian spirituality bent, right? So I've studied the spiritual exercises. So there are two things that you commented on that I love and that I anchor to. It's like, what is spiritual desolation? And God permits it. Doesn't cause it, but He permits it because there's something we need, right? So what is spiritual desolation? It's when God feels far. The other thing you said is, I think you said during one of your come and see visits, you told someone, right? I can't remember what rule that is, 11, 12, 14. Tell a holy person. Yeah. So when you're feeling that way, it's tell a holy person how you're feeling. Saint Therese of Lisieux has a story. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but when the night before her final vows, right? This is the holiness, wants to be in the convent long before they want to take them. She begs the Pope, please let me in. They let her in at 15. The night before her final vows, she's in the chapel and she's thinking, nope, don't belong here, not taking my vows, leaving tonight. And she goes and she gets the Mother Superior and she tells her. And the mother tells her, it's very good that you've told me. Immediately, all her doubts are gone. Right? It's a beautiful story around St. Therese of Lisieux, right? So when I was 10, I did a book report on her, and I loved her, and I wanted to be her. When I was 14, I discovered boys and cigarettes, and that was the end of that, right? I still always loved her. But I love the fact that you're willing to... Yeah, well, I gave those up eventually. It took me longer. And I married the right boy. So that was my vocation. But I think your willingness to be able to talk about those periods, like the things that we struggle with, those are the things that help other people. Right? So your willingness to share is very much appreciated. I'm grateful for it. Thank you all for sharing that.
Now, Sister Agnes, we're coming in on the close of the podcast soon. And I'm curious, now that you've had these young women under your belt for a year and you've sort of seen the program sort of evolve, grow or not, what are your feelings after this? You're going to lose them next month. What are your feelings about them in particular and the program in general?
Yeah, we're going to miss them. I don't know what we're going to do without them. So it's for me, it's been a real experience of spiritual motherhood. Walking with them, it's been a real privilege and gift. And so I'm grateful. And I think this program's become even more than I ever expected. And I think it's going to bear eternal fruit. And I'm so grateful. But it's really been a work of God, and have seen that, and it's been so beautiful to see each of you cooperating with God's grace all along the way, and it's just been so great seeing each of them grow in their own way and receive special graces the whole time. So, yeah.
I want to ask if there are any young women listening to this. How can they're interested in this program? How can they find out more?
We're gonna pretty soon have a new look to our website. It's gonna go live on Easter. Sandy's been helping us with that, so it's very exciting. And there's going to be some information on there, but they could just simply call the St. Michael Convent and ask for me, Sister Agnes, if they'd like more information.
One other question. It would appear that you've cast a wide net. How did you get young women from so far around the country and across the pond?
It's the Holy Spirit, because
it's always the Holy Spirit, Donna. Always the Holy Spirit.
I know. A lot the women this first year heard about it through discerning with us, and so because of the friars who do so much preaching all over the world and are renowned all over the world, are Father Benedict Rochelle, who's since passed on, and Father Andrew Apostoli. Many people have read their books, have heard them preach, have seen them on EWTN. People know of us. We're still so small, and it's shocking how we can travel. Now the sisters are also traveling, and we have sisters in England and Ireland preaching and living over there, missionaries, that it's... Yeah, I think just a work of God, and people hearing about us and really wanting to live the radical gospel life. And it draws them to come and see. And I think that's what's drawn each one of them was the gospel and wanting to live that more authentically. And that's what attracted me.
Well, I think it's been a pleasure getting to know all of you, through with the, and Connie, you were in the iRace, right? Did you get an award?
I did indeed. Yes, thanks, Pete. I got, first place in my age bracket. So luckily I just turned 30. Otherwise I'd have no chance.
No, that's awesome. No, I was just saying that you've been ever present at the Convocation, at different events. A few of you were at, Mike and I remember you from the 100th podcast. Yeah, or I do.
I have a Swiss cheese memory. I don't remember anything. But, nor their names for the first year that they were here. Oh, no. Sister Agnes is secretly telling Pete stuff.
Well,
that can't be good for me or Donna or them.
Well, Mike, she just gave me some dirt on you that I'm not going to...
There's plenty of that out there.
Yeah.
I didn't know Sister Agnes knew it, but okay. she is ever present.
That's not true.
Uh-oh. This is not good.
Well, I want to know, the four of you, what are your next steps? What's going to happen after May 1st, or I think at the end of this month?
Well, it's hard to say exactly, but we all are flying home where we used to live before coming here on May 1st. We'll start out there for sure. For me, I recently asked for an application to enter the CFRs. So my very first step is to fill that out and then turn it in and see what happens after that. That's the things that I do know, but there's plenty of unknowns too.
Awesome.
I'm going to go home to England and I'm going to see where God leads me.
This year has definitely solidified my desire to enter the CFR community. So I've applied to enter, and I'm going to be coming to a 2-week visit. And then after the 2-week visit, I have my unknown of just wherever the Lord leads. But I feel like there's a lot of peace in just knowing that wherever He's leading me, it's good. So, yeah.
And I am going to visit 2 more communities and then make my decision after that. So in my head, I do want to join this year, so hopefully by the fall. But God's will, God's timing, so it's healthy to visit a couple orders. So we'll see after that.
Okay, well, thank you all for inviting us in and for agreeing to speak with us. And Donna, thanks for coming up from Ocean City to hang out with us and ask the only good questions that were asked today. And Pete, thanks for setting this up. And Sister Agnes, as always, thank you for having us down. We really appreciate it. And to all of you, including our 2 guests in the back there, thank you for coming to Atlantic City and considering and being missionaries. And as 2 or 3 of us being on the outside, it's been wonderful to see you here. You're a sign of a good, healthy Catholic faith, in addition to being a good Catholic, healthy religious community within the confines of the diocese. So that's outstanding. So thank you all very much for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And Pete, thank you for setting it up.
Can I just say something to these young women? I just want to say thanks again. And I have a 15-year-old goddaughter who I pray about, I think about a lot in Western PA. And I wish she was here hearing this. I'm going to try to get her to listen to this podcast, maybe come down to Atlantic City for something, because I think she just needs to see something like this and to see this and to know this.
Well, I think you need to do what Sister Agnes does, which apparently is strap on your halo and just model for her and don't try shoving it down their throats, because as the young woman said, the shoving it down the throats, it's not really what it is.
Can I comment? I want to talk about First Saturdays that you do here. So I would put a plug that we would do them longer than February through June. That would be my first plug. But really,
I think wait. We also learned that they take their time. They don't rush things.
I know.
You know, I think that's good.
That is
I actually
good.
like that they don't do it all year long. As I think it refreshes them. Yeah.
Oh, I think. Well, maybe it gets refreshment for you, but the rest of us go into mourning until you start them again. But really, what you do on First Saturdays here is remarkable. So I've heard many of your witnesses because I love that piece of the day. I love all the parts of the day that happen here. So for everyone listening to this podcast, if you have not been to First Saturday, you have 2 more opportunities, May and June. But I have loved as you have taken the ambo and told your story. Sister Agnes, you just told yours for April. It's really remarkable that for the role that each of you play, for what you do for us in this broad community that comes every first Saturday, and I think I've hit them all so far since February, and I intend to finish. I was asked to come run a retreat for a group on the first Saturday in June. I'm like, no, I can't make it. Can we pick another day? Because I didn't want to miss. You know, I don't want to miss. So I thank you. Yeah, that was the other part of the reason I couldn't miss my last first Saturday, because the bishop is coming. So now we're plugging the bishop for first Saturday, June 1st.
I'm going to have to apologize to the listeners, though, and say that I tried wrapping this up twice, and we keep going on. I did tell the both of you to ask questions.
But I just wanted to comment, though, on your gift to us in the broader Camden Diocese around your model of holiness, because you really want to make us be holier than we are. So thank you. Shut up, Mike.
Okay.
I wasn't talking to you. You're not a model for me.
That's true. So now I'm going to wrap it up, unless Pete has one more thing to say.
No, I was just going to say, so first Saturday is May 4th. That's it. That'll be fun. I just want to get the date right. I'll be there, and I second that. Those first Saturdays are amazing. Sister Agnes, you're doing something right over here.
Yeah. Oh, sure. You take the mic away from her. Real nice. She said, "Praise God." She's right. All right. Nobody else? Anything else to say? Okay. Once again, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to our guests for having us. And this has been Talking Catholic. And we won't be able to top this next week, but we'll do our best. So have a good week, everybody.